nobody ever talked about paradise and resurrection and all these things. A guy walked up and say, hey, would you be interested in a Bible study? It's free, we'll come to your house or whatever. It's basically subtle indoctrination and brainwashing. If you say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna put a pause on the Bible study, they they come at you with nice nastiness. And in my case, I did have red flags. I did ask questions. The more that I separated myself, the more my critical thinking returned.
This is Seeds of Awakening, your home for higher frequency conversations. I'm your host, Amani Channel. Thanks so much for joining us. This content is for the free thinkers and the open-minded individuals who just want to learn some more information, maybe open your mind or learn more about other topics that you haven't really thought about before. All right, so imagine this. Let me paint this picture for you. You just want to learn more about the Bible or a Bible topic. So you find this group that's offering a home Bible study, a free Bible study, so you take them on. You had no intentions of joining the organization or becoming a member. Next thing you know, you're sucked in knee deep and you can't get out. Next thing you know, you're baptized and you're really indoctrinated in the way they think. What do you do then? What happens? Well, my next guest is going to share her story in just a second. But first, make sure you hit that like. That means hit the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel and hit post notifications if you do, because that way you won't miss any of these great episodes and interviews that I'm here to bring for you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and bring the guest in now. How you doing, T?
All right, how are you?
Doing great. Just enjoying the day. Thanks so much for making some time to have a conversation with us.
Yes, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Yep. So let's just get started. Where you from? Where you raised? How are you raised?
Okay, well, I was born and raised in Chicago on the South Side. Lived there most of my life. In my 20s, I did live some other places due to school and, just exploring and, developing, but did end up coming back home about mid 20s or what have you. Um, End up becoming a teacher and eventually end up becoming a nurse, and now I'm a nurse practitioner.
Nurse practitioner, excellent. So, were you raised in a strict religious environment? How are you raised spiritually or religiously?
So religiously, I was raised, I would say Baptist. Like I got baptized as a Baptist when I was 18. I did attend Catholic school for some of my elementary education as well as all of my high school education. My paternal grandmother, would sometime go to, I called it the final call, but I know that's not what it's called. But we would go listen to Minister Farrakhan, as as a teen and things of that nature. But for the most part, I would say I was raised, Baptist. Like I say, I was exposed to different faiths and things of that nature, um, but primarily raised as a Baptist.
And then, did you have brothers and sisters as well? Were your parents very strict in terms of the religion?
No, I come from a pretty laid back family on both sides. I would say my paternal grandparents, I honestly don't know if they ever got baptized. They were from Louisiana, from the South, just good people. We would, go to church sometime. They, celebrated Christian, holidays and things of that nature. My parents married young and separated young. So I was more afraid of my mom than my dad. My dad was my friend, but my mom was my mom, kind of thing growing up. Um, but I didn't necessarily um like my grandparents, my maternal grandparents, they went to church on Sundays. My maternal grandmother just passed in December, is a worldwide renowned gospel singer, or was. My maternal grandfather was like president of the Usher Board and things like that, but they wasn't Bible thumpers, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
um, you were allowed to live if that, but
Right.
yeah, my granddaddy expected you to go. You can go to the club on Saturday,
But you gotta go to church on
for church
Sunday.
on Sunday.
Right.
So, yeah, I wouldn't say it was strict, but I also was a good kid. I was the type of kid, if you just said you was disappointed in something I did. That was enough. So I didn't get, whoopings and things like that. I do have a brother. I'm 11 years older than him. So I kind of basically helped raise him.
Now, at any point, did you become dissatisfied with how you're raised in terms of being a Christian? Were you looking for other faiths, or were you experimental in terms of your beliefs?
So I don't know if I would use the word disappointed. I guess just kind of lacking understanding. So, like I mentioned, I got baptized at 18, but it was more so because my mom was of the belief like my daughter's going away to school. If she die, I want her to be saved, kind of thing. So me and my brother actually got baptized at the same time. I was 18, he was 7. So as I mentioned, when I came back home in like my mid 20s, I was just trying to figure out like what's life's about, life's questions and things like that. So I did start going back to church, but on Sunday, I was only going on Sundays. And sometimes that one scripture, that one sermon, it might have felt good, but I was like, how is it applicable to me? Like kind of what I'm going through or questions that I have about life, right? Um, and so I looked at other stuff, but nothing to the point of going to attend. But I started dating a guy who was raised a Jehovah's Witness. And even though he would say from time to time, oh, we shouldn't be, dating, I'm like, okay, this is different. Um, he would say these things, animals petting, wild animals and things of this nature. So I was curious, like how is it that he could do X, Y, and Z and still feel a type of way about it, but then A, B, and C he absolutely will not do. Like attend church with me or things of that nature. So I did have a little bit of curiosity because this was different from anything I had been exposed to.
Okay, that makes sense. So, how old were you when this happened?
I started dating him, I think I was about 26 or 27.
And were you still looking for like that scriptural knowledge as well? Like, was that part of your quest as well? Were you still on the searching for like information about what Bible verses meant and how it
Yeah,
related to us?
yeah, yeah, because at the time I identified as a Christian. So yeah, I was looking for, when you reading the Bible, some of this stuff you like, what did sacrifices and this like what, huh? So yeah, I was looking for some um understanding about life's questions or questions that I had,
Mhm.
about what's my purpose here, what, and things of that nature.
Okay, so you're born and raised a Baptist. You
Yeah.
had questions about your faith, and then you end up dating this Jehovah's Witness guy who was kind of intriguing because his rules were so peculiar in terms of how he expresses religious faith. Is that kind of what happened?
Yeah, yeah. So I was curious. I've always considered myself a pretty open person. Like I had friends who were Catholic. Obviously, I went to a Catholic high school. I had friends who were what did they call it? Sanctified or like what's it called? Church of God in Christ. So
Hmm.
but it still was like some kind of similarities, but nobody ever talked about paradise and the resurrection and all these things. So it was just like,
Hmm.
okay, maybe they know something. Maybe I can get the answers. Me being a pretty studious college student and thinker and things like that, it piqued my interest as to just to see what's it about. I wasn't trying to be a Jehovah's Witness. I just wanted to see like, well, what makes him this way, that he won't go too far this way or too far that way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So then what happened with your curiosity?
So he had invited me to in a memorial. That's where they kind of do a ceremony to remember Jesus' last meal, so to speak. So I had questions even about that because certain people would take the bread and wine and certain people wouldn't.
Most people wouldn't, right? I mean, most people don't.
Yeah, I don't think anybody did.
Right.
And he made sure, and some other men who came over to speak or whatever, they made sure to let me know don't do it too. So I was just like, this is weird because, where I grew up, we took it,
Everybody does. Yep.
Yeah. Even in Catholic high school, if
Oh
you wanted
yeah.
to go up and take it, they will let you take it,
You go
Um,
before it and sort of kneel down and get your blessing.
yeah.
Hmm.
So it was like, okay. So the guy walked up and said, "Hey, would you be interested in a Bible study? It's free. We'll come to your house or whatever." Like I said, I consider myself an open book then, pretty open-minded. So I was like, okay, sure. And they started, coming and studying. So some things that they showed me in the Bible, it was kind of like what I felt like an aha moment, like, oh, okay, they showing me from the Bible. Like I say, you think you 27, 28, you don't really know nothing. Like I said, I had never really been I grew up kind of just what I consider regular. Didn't know much about the witnesses and stuff like that. Um, but I know a lot about them now. So you
Yeah, I
know.
do too.
Yeah, so that was pretty much it. Yeah, they kind of I I thought about this recently. Like, what was it? Of course, friends and family thinking, oh, she's dating this guy. This is why she's going, starting to go in this direction. But I thought about this after watching someone else's video. And I said, what attracted me now, I realized was that it started on time, it ended on time.
Hmm.
Church, you didn't know what time it was going to end. I like that, right? I like that they appeared to be very organized, right? I like that it seems simple that if with the watchtower, if the question is about this, they're giving you a scripture and you can go to the Bible, about that versus, oh, where do I find this in the Bible? So that kind of format, it did appeal to my type of personality. I'm
Hmm.
the type of person I rather fill out some type of report than like write an essay. I like a systematic way to do things.
Hmm.
And I realize now that's what drew me in. It was timely, organized, and simple.
So you say they drew you in, so I would assume you started having a Bible study, then you sort of started going to meetings and started going on fields. Like, did you get like completely like
Yeah,
into?
I studied. There was some issues with who I was studying with and things of that nature. So I was probably, I know that I was considered a progressive study because it wasn't too long that I started coming to at least one of the meetings,
Hmm.
which, if anybody's familiar with witnesses, if you could get a Bible study to come to a meeting, man, you gonna get 5 gold stars. So I was, attending at least one of the meetings. At that time, they had 3 meetings a week. I would attend at least one. Um, and like I say, maybe about 27, I started studying. And I want to say I became an unbaptized publisher, uh, probably when I was 29, I'm thinking.
Hmm.
Um, maybe even the beginning of my 30th year. And then by December of when I turned 30, I got baptized.
Yeah, that's pretty quick. Then you pretty much sort of became a member and got all official pretty quick.
Yeah, within a couple of years. They
Yeah.
they would have liked it to be quicker, but
Wow.
you know.
So what's the significance of getting baptized? Sort of explain that.
Well, they consider it like a public display of your devotion to Jehovah. But now, in hindsight, it's really a way for you to be marked within the organization because it's like, oh, now you baptized. Now, if you deviate or you no longer want to do it, or you do something what they deem is sinful, now we can get you. Now we can really put our claws into you. That's really what it is. Whereas in other Christian, religions or whatever, like when I got baptized at 18, it was, yeah, you should do better, be nice, be more Christ-like. But it wasn't this, we about to micromanage your life. If you come to church, great. If you don't, that's okay. When we see you in the streets, we still gonna say, hey, you know. But when you get baptized as Jehovah's Witness, that's basically you agreeing to have your life dictated by the governing body and micromanaged by the other members in your congregation. That's basically
How
what
does
it
that
is.
happen? Why do you submit to, like, I don't know, I'm just wondering.
Like what? How do it is very you saying how does that happen?
Yes, yes, yes.
As far as
Like okay, so you get baptized, start going to meetings, this organization, show interest, and then
yeah,
you sort of submit to their whatever their procedural thing, and
yeah,
the next thing you know, then your business, like controlling your life, controlling who talks to you, is like, yeah, how does that happen? Like, sort of walk me through what you're thinking, or how it's sort of, because you were just a regular person who just was like curious
yes.
about the Bible.
Yeah. So what happens, or at least in my case, and in most cases, first of all, they love bomb you. When they see that you're coming, they're gonna love bomb you. And so that means that everything that you do that's related to their organization is going to get praised. So most people, if you're doing anything and somebody praising you, you feel kind of good, right? Especially if they're coming across as these, just humble, nice people. So that as you begin to progress in your Bible study or what have you, they drop little seeds, right? Like if you, like in my case, if you say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna put a pause on the Bible study. They come at you with nice nastiness. Well, you have to give me a you need to let me know why you want to stop your study. Like what? Why do I have to let you know? I'm grown. I don't have to let you know. I'm just giving you the respect to let you know, like, hey, I'm about to take a pause. And so it's basically subtle indoctrination and brainwashing, right? So, and then they're gonna eventually hit you with the, well, this is how they get people. Um, Before you didn't know Jehovah, so you could have been at his mercy, and when Armageddon come. But now you know. So even if you baptized or not baptized, you're gonna be destroyed. So you know what I'm saying? So you have like this pressure, right? You have this pressure, and in my case, I did have red flags. I did ask questions. But when it's just me against all these people, right? You just feel like, well, like I say, going back, they telling you stuff that you had never heard before. So now you feeling like, well, this must be, as they like to say, the truth, or this must be accurate because yeah, when I go to church, I don't get all this, rules and guidance. And when I was in Catholic school, I didn't get all this rules and kind of thing. So you just don't know no better. You just don't know no better. And it just, before you know it, you look up and you don't even recognize yourself. You don't recognize yourself, and now you're in it. I like to tell people I never had, like, I don't think I was ever like just 10 toes down, like, oh, these people could just tell me any and everything and I'm gonna jump off a bridge for them. But did I have 10 toes down moments? I think I think everybody who has left the organization can say, yeah, they did. And it's just because you didn't know no better,
Mhm.
you know?
So this leads to my next question, which is, do you feel like the organization is really a cult? I mean, that's sort of what, I mean, I've heard different folks say different things about the whole experience. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I think it's called the bite model. And it's like if you that's like one of the ways you can tell if you're in a cult. But prior to me realizing, like, dang, I just was involved in a cult, we tend to think of a cult like moving their people to some, remote third world type,
Like Jim Jones?
yeah, Jim
Yeah.
Jones type thing, or everybody dressing the same and things like that. But
Hmm.
I feel like if your organization requires you to shun people when they no longer want to be involved, if your organization requires you to basically micromanage the behaviors and actions of other adults, you know, if the organization can tell you what to do and you grown here in America. Like those are just some, red flags. If this organization if an organization is claiming to be the only one true channel and things like that as far as religion, then chances are it's a cult. It's a cult. So in my opinion, yes, I do believe that it's a cult. And it's a lot of them out here moving in this way, and because of social media, because of people being brave enough to come to places like YouTube or TikTok or wherever they, decide to do it, write a book and tell their story, people are learning. Like, I didn't know this. I have a YouTube channel. I have a lot of people who subscribe. They had no clue about Jehovah's Witnesses, was not part of the XJW community, and they just like mind blown about the experience that I share about it, because they just thought, oh, these are nice people that come knock on your door on Saturdays.
It is much more than that.
Much more.
So basically, so what did you do? Like, how did you end up like not being associated with Jehovah's Witnesses? What ended up happening? What led to that?
It was a bunch of stuff, but I would say the beginning of it kicked off when my dad died in 2011. Like when he died, I was just like, something in my spirit was like, resurrection hope is just not true. Like I know I'm not gonna see him in a fleshly form ever again. I just, something in my spirit just was like, and so that, the way people was treating me like I was crazy, because I was heartbroken and grieving because my daddy is gone. He's 56 years old, and I feel like he didn't have to pass, at a young age. So that was the beginning. I end up going back to school to become a nurse, and that gave me separation from the meeting, indoctrination every week, because it's like, hey, I
Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, it's like very back to back. And then
yeah.
the field service, yeah.
Yeah. So that gave me separation. So that gave me time to just be me, to kind of get back to who I was, and think for myself and things of that nature. And then I graduated, became a nurse. And then the more that I separated myself, the more my critical thinking returned. And so I guess the final straw, as far as, I guess people would say, I faded. The beginning of me straight up fading was, I ended up meeting my husband, who was not a witness, and I let them know, out of respect, I'm getting married. I didn't want them to hear it through the grapevine. And oh my God, you'd have thought I said I was marrying
Killing the president.
the devil's little brother or something.
Right. Yeah.
It was crazy.
It's very, very egregious to be unyoked,
Yeah.
married to an unbeliever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm out. And so that was March of 2017 when I attended my last meeting, and I never been back. Never been back.
Did you submit a letter or do anything? Did you just not basically go back?
No, I did not do a disassociation letter. I just left and was like, I'm married, I have a new life, and I was doing that. And then probably, let me see, I got married in 2017. So probably like 2018, I really started watching a show called Leah Remedies about Scientology. And that's when because I just left, but I still had some, I call it witness guilt,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but like in 2018, and I'm making this connection between Scientology and the witnesses, I began to wake up. And then I discovered XJW community on YouTube. And then, oh my God, I went down a rabbit hole, and it was just like, I'm not crazy. All the things, all the times I tried to question, all the times I, felt a type of way and was basically told to shut up, in so many words. So I would say really being free of witness guilt and all the things, probably by 2019 for sure. Like
Okay.
completely mentally out,
Well,
like,
you don't meet a person and think, oh, but they're worldly.
yeah.
Okay.
Like I wasn't yeah, I just, yeah, I like 2019, I would say for sure, like I didn't care
Hmm.
what they thought, and and things of that nature. So I didn't do a letter. Sometimes I go back and forth about it. But then I always say giving a letter is like still playing into their card.
Hmm.
Cause it's like, F y'all, I ain't gotta send you no letter. But then when you learn about some countries give them money because of their like non-for-profit status based on membership. So sometimes I do feel like, should I submit a letter because I don't want them to get money? um but sometimes I stay on the side of not giving a letter just because I feel like I take the power back. you know
Hmm.
maybe these other maybe these countries will see enough of this XJW stuff and just say, we're not gonna give y'all money. you know
So where are you in terms of now? Like, what do you believe in? Have you had any? Are you Christian? What's your beliefs?
um I'm just me by me, okay. So I guess I would say I consider myself, I guess, a follower of Christ, but maybe not like Christian in the sense of Christianity. Like I
Hmm.
try to follow what Jesus said, treat
Right.
people like you want to be treated, care about the sick, care about the old, I just try to be a good person. Like I mentioned, my paternal grandparents, I don't even know if they ever got baptized. They definitely did not go to church every Sunday, but they are two of the best people, in my opinion, to ever walk the earth. They were just good people. So I believe in a number of things. I don't, it's nothing that can uh, I guess just give a title. So, like I said, in regards to being a follower of Christ, but I also believe in the ancestors coming and working on your behalf and helping you out, protecting you. I believe that the universe can also send good energy your way. I believe in karma. So if you putting bad juju out there, you're gonna get it back. So um that's kind of how I feel. I believe a little bit in, the moon phases and things of that nature too. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, so I don't, subscribe to like an organized religion, but like I'm not opposed to, going to church or, this or that. I ain't going to no Kingdom Hall, but
Right.
if but if I only have like two Jehovah Witnesses friends that I consider, friends that actually still talk to me in a regular way.
Right.
Um, like Lord forbid if one of them was to pass, I would go attend, if it was in a Kingdom Hall or something like that. But yeah, I ain't really trying to be part of organized religion because at some point I feel like it'll probably disappoint you,
Hmm.
you know.
So talk about more your spiritual beliefs. How did those sort of evolve? Did you sort of get into like rocks and meditation, or what sort of happened with that?
Um, I would say with the moon and like the moon phases and the universe, just reading books, maybe seeing somebody that I vibe with on YouTube and just, start investigating there.
Hmm.
Um, Same with the, that the ancestors are still, with
Right.
you and things of that nature. So it's more so, and then I took a course when I was in college a million years ago, African American studies. So we talked about all the different things from, just tribal things, and then just being a descendant of American slavery. I always say, what did our people, what was their worshiping practices over in Africa?
Hmm.
you know, because for a lot of them, they came over here, they, you know, evidently told them, nope, that's not it, this is it. And, it just, continue on. So I'm just like, well, what tribe do I belong to? What did they practice? Things of that nature. Like I say, I meet people who like Buddhist and Hindu or what have you, and I like them. I like some of the things that they say in they, religion. advocates for and things of that nature. So it's just more of a curiosity, usually like a previous experience or something I might see, and then it's like, oh, let me investigate this more, you know. Um, so like I say, curiosity got my butt in trouble, you know, and became a Jehovah's Witness, but you know, it's still there.
Right. So what would you
So
say to any person who you know, like from your previous life as Jehovah's Witness, who's maybe watching this interview right now? Like, what would be your message to like them?
um you know, if you are questioning, especially with a lot of the changes being made, don't let the organization suppress your questioning. You know, start investigating for yourself and see if this is something you want to stay that closely, you know, associated with. Um, and and if it's the two friends that I still have, you know who you are. You know, if you ever decide you want to leave, I got your back.
Hmm. Well, thank you very much for spending a few moments with us. Tell me more about your YouTube channel. When did you start that, and where can people find it?
Okay, so the name of it is called Same OT. So it's SameOleTee. And I was inspired to start it because I saw so many people sharing their XJW like awakening story. And my husband was like, you need to do it. You need to do it because your story is really unique. Most people are born in, or they, you know, they came in when their parents maybe learned about it when they were 6 or 7, you know.
Yeah.
So you being grown, you know, having a career and all this stuff is, you know, he was like, you need to start a channel. So initially it was just to kind of tell my story, and that's, you know, I don't want to say that was it, but that was the goal of it. And I started it back, well, October 3rd of last year. And it's grown. It's grown. People, you know, vibe out with, you know, the way I do it. Like I'm not heavy into the doctrines and the dates and, you know, and all that stuff. I'm more so about how it really impacts a person's just they soul, just who they are. Like you're here to do something, and it's not just be a Jehovah Witness. It really is not just to be a Jehovah Witness, you know. And yeah, just try to have a safe space, a fun space that people can come and express themselves, because especially born in, or people who have been who families had come in when they were young, a lot of those ex-witnesses struggle with identity. Who am I? You know, second guessing themselves, just all the things, you know, still trying to break out of the suppression, you know, because that's what they used to. So it's fun. Like I say, it probably leans more to like XJW content, but I do content geared towards Gen Xers, women who wear sister locks, you know, just sometimes some hot topics and stuff. So it's a good little mix.
Okay. So, last question. We only have a few minutes left, so maybe you can make this kind of concise. But what would be your advice to anyone who's learning about Jehovah's Witnesses or wants to learn more, or maybe they're just thinking about questioning the organization because they're inside? What would you be your advice to them?
Do your research, and your research has to extend past the jw.org website. Can't do research with your own sources, right? So seek outside sources, whether it's through social media, books, whatever the case may be. You can go to these governmental database like the Royal Commission, and you know, things going over in the UK. This is not just America having these issues. This is JWs worldwide. So do your research. Definitely.
Keegan, I want to thank you so much for spending a few moments with us. Good luck in all your future ventures, and thanks so much for your time.
All right. Thank you.